in California, and I am going to be supervising the my site in my small town in Kern County, California. And I just want to encourage everyone to go out there and to vote. There is a plain English voter guide if you are confused on some of the propositions, because a lot of times they make things sound like they're a lot better to have than they really are. It's just tax increases in disguise. So there's a lot of propositions on the ballot this time around, and you can go to reformcalifornia.org and you can get the plain English voter guide there. I agree with most of what they have to say, but of course use your own discernment as well. There is one ballot initiative in particular that I don't agree with what Reform California recommends, but I do follow with everything else. Let me know what you think I'm not for in the comments. Um, Anyhow, supposedly 75 million people have already cast their vote, so we are going to reach the other half of the country today. And California has the most number of registered voters, I believe, in the entire country at I think it's around 22 million, and we've got the most number of Republicans of any state with roughly 5 million in one state. So that is a heck of a lot. Of course, we don't have enough to get President Trump his um, uh, the electoral votes here. But I think it's really important that no matter where you are in California, if you think, oh, I'm in a heavily Democrat precinct, it doesn't matter who I vote for Congress. Well, it does matter who you vote for Senator Steve Garvey. Apparently, he is within the margin of error to actually beat Adam Schiff. That would be fantastic. That would really mean the world. And if Steve Garvey is that close, is Trump really out of contention? I don't think so. Um, Caitlyn Jenner, the uh, decathlon gold medalist, um, that person cast their vote for Trump and said there are way more pro-Trump people in California than you would even imagine, and I completely agree. In my particular part of California, um, I would say 90% of my neighbors, but I'm in a fairly conservative area. We're in Kevin McCarthy's old district, which, by the way, President Trump had endorsed Vince Fong, who is Kevin McCarthy's as his replacement. He won the special election in May. He is going against Mark Bordeaux, who is a Tulare sheriff. So I really don't think you can go wrong with either one of them. And this is one of those cases where the jungle primary resulted in two Republicans running for that Congress seat. But I went ahead and cast my vote for Vince Vaughn. Hopefully he will work out and he won't be one of Trump's misses on endorsements, because he hasn't gotten them all right. But I do think he has gotten better with time. Just take a look at these people that are out there on the campaign trail endorsing him. And he's even got Ron Paul now, and Joe Rogan. He just put out his endorsement last night. Of course, you got Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr. and uh, Vivek Ramaswamy. I am so impressed with JD Vance. He draws epic crowds on his own without Beyonce, without I don't even know who all the other celebrities are that have been going with Kamala. Um, just on his own, even without Trump being there, JD Vance is becoming a force in his own right. And I think that the future of the Republican Party, the conservative MAGA movement of the Republican Party, is just in good hands. I think we're going to sweep this election, but we aren't going to do it by thinking my vote doesn't count. We're not going to do it by thinking, oh, we're in such a red state, it doesn't matter anyway. Every single vote counts. We need to have like the too big to rig mentality. We need to have the electoral or the popular vote be huge. We need to have that show of support to let the liberal folks, the Antifa folks, know there really isn't any point to destroying things because they're just so completely outnumbered. And I'm so afraid that that's the route that our country will take when Trump is announced the winner, that we will have a lot of troublemakers out there. And I think the way to kind of help suppress the troublemakers is to let the troublemakers know that this was really a huge majority popular vote as well as the electoral vote. So please get out there and make your voices heard. Get your neighbors out there. Call up your family and friends in all the different states that they may be in and say, hey, have you voted yet? Did you make sure that your ballot was counted? For those that have mailed in a ballot, um, did it get received? Things can get lost in the mail. Um, Check your particular state's rules, but if you go and check the status of your ballot and it hasn't been received yet, go and vote in person. If they tell you it has been received, then great, no worries. Some can have that level of visibility where they're at, but you could also request a provisional ballot. So if you didn't receive a ballot, for instance, and you go in to vote and they say, oh, you've already cast, challenge it. Record what's going on. Make sure that your ballot is heard, because there have been ballots that have been stolen even before they get to the individual that it's intended for, and so those could possibly have been cast. But will the signature match? If you are submitting a provisional ballot, they're going to check the signatures. They will see that, hey, there is a possible problem here, and they will take a look at it. Obviously, do not cast two votes. We do not do that. We do things the legal way. Um, so get out there and do that. In California, where I am at, everybody gets their ballots mailed out to them. So we really aren't in a position where we have enough voting centers that everybody can just vote in person. I would love for us to be able to get there, but honestly, I've got 7 people that are going to be working with me this morning, and there are 3 other precincts within my town that has about 18,000 people in it. Let's say 9,000 are registered to vote. We just wouldn't have the capability to handle it. So if you've got a mail-in ballot in California, you can drop it off at the site, but then that'll leave room for people who don't have that mail-in ballot, or they lost their mail-in ballot, because we don't want to have people have to get out of line because they don't have the time to complete the process. So if you have that mail-in ballot and you don't trust the mail, fine, bring it to a site, leave that spot in the voting area to actually mark things in the voting area. Leave that for someone who misplaced their ballot or didn't get their ballot, so that we don't have anybody turning around and leaving without voting. Okay, so that would be my recommendation on that. In my particular precinct in Kern County, we don't have anything tied to the internet in terms of like your vote. Our poll books are, so they can see whether or not you mailed in a ballot. But as I said, if you want to challenge that, you can still vote provisionally. We do have a machine that if you are in the wrong precinct, you can still use, there's a computer where you can mark a ballot, but it's just marking your specific ballot. It used to be that if you were not in the correct precinct, you had to vote provisionally, because there may be some contests on the ballot at that precinct that differ from your ballot in your own precinct. So that would be why it would have to be provisional. Now they have these machines, it's called an ICX machine, which is just the manufacturer, where you will have your exact ballot within that county. So you can't like switch county lines, but if you're anywhere in Kern County and you happen to be in my neck of the woods, then I would just send you to the machine. What the machine does is it will give you your exact ballot, and you can choose who you're going to vote for, and then it prints it out. So it doesn't go from that computer to some central location where you can be concerned about things being changed. It'll print it out, and then you put that in the ballot box, and then that gets counted at a central location in our county. So I just want to clear anything up for people who might be concerned about that, because we have had people question me on that. And it's not tied to the internet. There's no flipping on that. It is a printout. You can verify everything is the way that you wanted it to be. Let's see what else. Be kind to your election workers, okay? Um, we are chronically understaffed here, which is why, even though I would love to have same day voting here in California, it's not going to happen unless they tremendously increase the stipend that they give people, because it is a very long day for very, very little pay. But in my particular location, we do have about half of the people that are here are new to the process. They have not done this before. And that may be the case in a lot of different areas. They may be doing that position for the first time. So especially the first few hours of the day, be especially kind, be especially patient, because these are people that are giving up their time. They just had about a 3-hour training class, but this is the first time they're actually putting it um, into practice. So there may be a few hiccups. Just be kind. They're volunteering their time, and we want to encourage them to continue doing this, because, as I said, if we ever want to hope to get same day, one day voting paper ballots, you're going to need a huge amount of volunteers that are going to do this, and you want to make sure that these people who are volunteering now come back and they encourage others to come as well. So anyhow, I have been doing this myself since the recall election. I was very concerned about our 2020 results and what happened there, so that's when I got involved with the process. So the recall election for Gavin Newsom was my first election. So that was 2021, and here we are 3 years later. So this is my first general presidential election, and I pray for me. I have a feeling I'm going to be completely overwhelmed again with half my staff, this being their first time doing it. But we set up last night. Everything is ready to go. I'm out here in the parking lot with 15 minutes before everybody else is due to join me here at my location. I've got donuts right there. I've got coffee. I've got some other fruit and snacks and things to bring for our workers, because even though we are supposed to take a break and get lunch, I'm just really concerned about how these lines are going to be shaping up. I'm just thinking that we're really going to have a lot of people, which is a good thing, and I want to be here and support that in our community, and I hope that you all will be involved in that as well. If not, if you're not doing it today, then please consider doing it the next time we have an election. Let me see what else I want to cover here today. I think that's it right there. Just get out and vote. Tell everybody they need to be informed. There are voter guides out there if you are concerned, you're not really sure. The worst thing you can do is just mark something without having any idea what it is. Now, in terms of like Republican, Democrat, the partisan contests, if you are a conservative, you got to go Republican, even if you don't know personally what that person stands for. At this point, it's too late to vote the Democrat. You got to vote in people that at least have a chance of supporting, more of a chance of supporting President Trump. Because if you, as I think it was one of the Muslim endorsers from Minnesota, they have a huge Somali population there, and the leader of their Somali neighborhood came out and endorsed President Trump, and he also said you need to vote Republican all the way, because to send in your leader without an army is going to result in defeat. You've got to give him the Congress. You've got to give him the Senate. So Steve Garvey, you got to vote for him. If you got to vote for the Republican, whatever you got there. Where you need to weed out your rhinos is in the primary. You're not going to do that at the general election. That point is past. Now, what I'm talking about, though, don't vote if you don't know what you're talking about, is like the school board, your county offices. A lot of the times they aren't partisan. You need to actually investigate the person, because politics is local. You know, if you've got a radical school board, you're raising up children that are going to be voting against our interests, the American interests. because that's what they've been taught, because you've got a radical school board. So it's very important that you know who you're voting for in your school board elections, for instance. But it's also important to know who's on your city council, who's your city mayor, who's your county supervisors. Those are all things that are very important as well. And of course, your sheriff's very important. So make sure you know who it is that you're voting for. And if you don't, you can't find a voter guide, you don't have trusted neighbors that can give you some advice on that, it's perfectly fine to leave it blank. It's better to leave it blank than to vote for somebody who you didn't know, and it turns out that they happen to be totally against MAGA interests, America First interests. So anyhow, let me see if I've got any comments here. I've been rambling on for about 15 minutes. I appreciate you joining me. You know, if I do things where I've pre-recorded it, that's all well and good. I can kind of plan things out a bit more, but it's just been a crazy last couple of weeks. And also I found that, especially like on election day, it may be hours before that video I record actually goes up on YouTube. And of course, time is of the essence here. People are already voting on the East Coast. Thank you for doing that. Let me see what else we've got on here. Yeah, I Googled everybody, Lisa. Thank you. Yeah, but remember, Google is not our friend. You Google Trump, the first things that come up are going to be negative things. So make sure you dig into page 2, page 3, page 4, if you can find it on for people. The Minutemen, thank you so much for joining in. TR, who am I voting for? I'm voting for Trump. I am MAGA all the way. No normal life in USA. Trump, yes, absolutely. Let's see what else we got here. Pray, yes, absolutely. Nobody cares. Oh, I'm sorry, Speed Demon. I think a lot of people care. And I hope you care too. And I hope you go out there and you vote MAGA. Because I think that is really the only choice that we've got if we want to have a future like our founding fathers envisioned for us, where we are bound by the Constitution. We have individual responsibility, and we have the ability to live the American dream. I don't think we can do that under Kamala Harris. I think it's been very hard for people to do under Joe Biden. Anybody who has succeeded has been, despite the efforts of our federal government, they have done nothing to help. So just as Trump has been starting off his rallies lately, it's like, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? Very few people, I think, could say yes. I think that those that could say yes are going to be those like Liz Cheney and Dick Cheney that have a lot of vested interest in our defense industry and the rebuilding industry, that have already got contracts secured to rebuild Ukraine, because we've been funding all of this over there. But anyhow, that's my opinion on that. I've got just a few minutes here, so I'm going to go ahead and sign off and say some prayers here before I start my day. God bless you all. God bless Trump. Pray for him. Pray for his safety. Pray for everyone's safety. We cannot allow any sort of instigators to get MAGA doing anything that we shouldn't be doing. And I think that's completely against our nature anyway. But watch out for, what do they call it, those black swan events and things. Our weapon is prayer. So anyhow, God bless. Get out there and vote, and bring your family and friends along. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye. As soon as I figure out how to say.